Trump says ISIS is defeated but in West Africa, there are fears extremism will get worse. Days after President Trump declared the Islamic State's caliphate, the Prime Minister of one of West Africa's most turbulent nations urged the United States to shift attention to a rising extremist threat in the Sahel. Malian Prime Minister Soumaïla Bouby visited Washington this week to ask U.S. officials to bolster support for his country's fight against terrorism, warning that the weakened Islamic State in Iraq and Syria could jumpstart the flow of extremists across the Sahel, Africa's arid northwest, worsen the region's security and jeopardize American interests there. The United States should have the same engagement in the Sahel as it does in the Middle East, he said in an interview. Malian security extremist groups, including some affiliated with the Islamic State and Al-Qaeda, have wreaked havoc across parts of West Africa and the Sahel. In 2012, in December, the White House unveiled a broad Africa strategy that included prioritizing efforts to counter radical Islamic terrorism. But the Pentagon has, said Mali is not demanding a massive presence of American soldiers but wants Washington to supply training and equipment to help its military counter violence that has claimed the lives of hundreds of civilians this year. After the White House did not respond to requests for comment on the nature of the commitment. Maga's visit came days after one of the deadliest attacks on civilians in Mali in recent years, as Islamist extremism, reactionary ethnic violence and heavy-handed security forces have led to a deteriorating security situation there. On Marca 2-3, gunmen targeted members of the Fulani ethnic group in central Mali, killing at least 157 people, many of them children. The United Nations, the attack may have stemmed from a conflict between Islamist extremists, who have successfully recruited some Fulani, and anti-extremism vigilante groups. Conflicts in Mali, extremist recruitment of Fulani has amplified those tensions, and self-defense groups have in some cases responded by targeting Fulanis over perceived allegiances to extremists. The mounting violence between Malian communities has worsened the crisis in parts of Mali that were already prone to extremist attacks. Earlier this month, insecurity has spread despite the presence of French troops and a UN peacekeeping mission in Mali. A third of all attacks and 1-2% of related deaths in the Sahel since November occurred in Mali, according to the Armed Conflict Location and Event Data Project, a non-governmental organization. Militants have targeted civilians 145 times over that period, a 150% increase compared with the same window the year before. The government is ill-equipped to deal with the surging violence, analysts say. Mali is nearly the stage was set for Mali's unrest in 2011 after Libya collapsed with the fall of Muammar Gaddafi, said Adodi Iakwe, Deputy Director for Advocacy and Government Relations at Amnesty International USA. Fighters fled to the undoing of the Islamic State in Syria has raised fears the group's downfall in the Middle East could fuel a similar rush of chaos in North and West Africa. That turns small groups that could do a little damage into really destructive forces, Akwe said. ISIS may have Magie acknowledged the government's resources are spread thin, and that lack of infrastructure and equipment has made it difficult for the military to control the widespread violence. The country has long relied on France for backup, and about 4,500 French troops are based throughout the Sahel. Has nearly 50. Now, Mali wants extra support from Washington. The flow of U.S. military hardware to Mali dropped off after the 2012 coup d'etat that set off a long period of instability. Previously, Mark Porter, an American special advisor to the Malian Prime Minister, said that the government soon plans to ask the United States for equipment, including C-130 and Black Hawk aircraft, to assist it in the fight against extremism. Commander, but experts warned against providing further equipment to the Malian military, which has faced accusations of widespread human rights abuses in its crackdown on extremist violence. Jude Devermont, director of the Africa program at the Center for Strategic and International Studies, said Mali wants to outsource security responsibilities to the US and France while doing as little as possible to address underlying matters.
Raindrop, drip, drop top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park pot.